Hello everybody. I just thought I'd put this little video up about magic circles and starting chains, because when we're making anything at all, we need to know how to start it, how to start a project. I've chosen yellow in the hopes that you'll be able to see the stitches okay. Now, a magic circle is a useful thing to be able to do because you don't have a hole in the center when you use a magic circle. So it's especially good for things that you're stuffing, like I don't know, little rabbits or teddy bears or things like that. You don't end up with a little hole where the stuffing can come out. But I'll show you both ways and what you can do to rectify that if you don't like magic circles. So I'm going to start with a magic circle, and we're going to put our 2 fingers here, okay, and we're going to leave a bit of a tail because we'll need to sew in that bit when we're finished, and hold it with your thumb, and then take the other one and cross it over, turn your fingers around, and your other 2 fingers, let your other 2 fingers hold the end, okay, and I'm using DK here to show you, but I mean this is literally any wool and any size crochet hook depending on what you're making. You put your hook underneath the underneath bit of that cross, and you pick up the other one and turn it round, and then you do it again. You pick up that bit and you pull it through that loop and take your fingers out, and that leaves you this little loop which is called the magic circle. All right, now normally speaking, when you do this, you're asked to then put stitches inside this. Okay, and it can be anything. It can be single crochets, double crochets, triples, you name it, depending on what you're making. So I'm going to show you with a double crochet, and a double crochet is where you put your yarn over your needle. Hold this as well. It's very flimsy, as you can see. It's just a yarn. It's a strand of yarn at the end of the day, so it's easier to hold it. Put your hook through and pull it up your yarn, and then go through 2 and go through 2. That's your double crochet. Okay, now I'm going to do 6 of those, yarn over, and once you get to the point where you're doing more than one, it's a good idea to actually hold the yarn and the stitch, so you're left with this tiny little hole here to work in, but it will move with you as you're moving. So yarn over, go through your magic circle, pull up your yarn, go through 2, go through 2. That's your double crochet, and usually it's, you know, numbers like 6, 12, 18 that you're going to put into a ring. So I've done 2 there, so I'm going to buzz along and do 6 so I can show you. 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, once you've done your 6, what you do is you get a hold of the end of your yarn and you pull it really tight. So just pull it up, pull it really tight, and don't be too scared of it, you know, give it a really good tug. And then, excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat. Then you count these stitches. I don't know how well you can see this, but you can see the little V's here, and that's all stitches. So each one of these is a stitch. So you count round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's your last one there, 6. So you're going to go into that last, or your first one you created, and go into that one, a bit tight, and you're going to slip stitch in there, which is when you pull your yarn through like you would if you were doing any kind of stitch, but instead of picking up this or anything like that, you just pull that through there and slip it in. Give it a tug. All right, and that makes a really nice little circle for you to start your work, and there's no hole in the center. If I pull it, look, there's nothing, no hole at all. And what you can do is you can sew that in the back to keep it really firm. All right, some people don't like them, but I love them. I've touched wood, I've never had one come undone. Excuse the table, by the way. I'm in the process of painting this, and I haven't finished yet, as you can see. But it's the only one I've got in my little craft room, so I kind of have to use it. So apologies for that. Yeah, so that's a magic circle. Good thing to try and master. But if you hate it for whatever reason, there is another way, there is an alternative, which is called a chain loop. And what you do is you start with a normal slip stitch, and I'm not going to show you too much about how to do that because most people know how to do this, don't they? Just a loop on in your wool that you put your hook through and then tighten it up. All right. It can be a chain of 4 or 3. I'm going to do 4 because I think you'll be able to see it better. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so we've got a chain of 4 here. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into that very last, so the first one that we made, the very last one on our little run here, we go in there with our hook and pull through some yarn and pull through again, slip it through. All right, and what we've actually made is a little donut, a little circle with a hole in the centre. Hoping you can see that with my finger stuck through it. All right, and I'm going to run through and do 6 double crochets in the middle of that. It's a little bit firmer, so kind of easier to, oh, I've done that too tight. There we go. Easier to hold, a little bit firmer to do, so it's kind of easier in a lot of ways, neater actually as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, lost count then, 6. I was talking at the same time. Time is counting, 6. All right, now this time we've got nothing to pull. If we pull this to the end of the earth, and it's not going to close it. So what we have to do is we have to do our slip stitch in that very first stitch. So again, we're going to count back our V's. I'm going the wrong way for the camera, sorry. I'm going to count back our V's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, which is that one there. So I'm going to put my hook in and slip stitch to form my circle. Now, in this instance, doesn't look much different, does it? It's quite thick wool, you know, you can't really see a hole in the middle. But if I pull it, you can see the hole in the middle. I can stick my nail through it there. The hole is there. So if you were making something that had wadding or stuffing in it, then that potentially could leak out of there over time. Not ideal, depending on what you're making, obviously. So if you do this way, take your end and sew that hole up. All right, when you're sewing this in, because you always sew the ends in anyway, use it to sew that hole up, and then you're kind of all right. All right, so it's up to you which one you do. But I would try and master a magic circle, just because once you get the hang of it, it's really easy to do, and you don't have to worry about this hole or forgetting to sew it up or anything else. Yeah, it's a little bit thicker as well, you know, so sometimes it can start your pattern off a little bit thicker and a bit more cumbersome. But anyway, that's a good way to start off. Either way is fine. I want you to enjoy everything you do if you start doing crochet. It's supposed to be fun. So the reason I did this little video today is because if something says do a magic circle and you really hate them because you can't quite get it, it took me a while to get. I've been crocheting for years now, and it did take me, I don't think it was about 3 years before I properly felt comfortable doing magic circles. But we're all different, you know, but I think it's in the teaching a lot, and I watched a lot of videos on it and never found one that really resonated with me until I found the one I've just showed you. I used the same as that, slightly differently. But it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, it's about having fun, and because this is where you start a project, this bit's got to be good for you. This bit's got to be nice and straightforward, so that you're not frustrated before you begin. Okay, so yeah, so those are 2 ways, and I hope that you saw that okay with the yellow wool. I'm hopeful. Thank you guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye.